has been the pillar of India's economy, contributing significantly to the value addition in agriculture, enhances income for millions of farmers, supports job creation across rural and semi-urban areas, and ensures more efficient food supply chains. We all know the numbers of the gross value added, etc., and we will talk about it in this gathering. And we do have a very rich and diverse agricultural base, a rapidly expanding consumer market, and a growing demand for safe, convenient, and nutritious food products. And these are very powerful tools for a strong food processing ecosystem. India's processed food exports are also on the rise. In 23-24, the processed foods constituted about 23.4% of India's agricultural exports, with export earnings of USD $7.7 billion, reflecting India's expanding footprint in the global food trade. Rural prosperity stands at the core of the FICCI's priorities, and the FICCI Presidium has chosen the rural prosperity to be a priority area that we've been driving year after year. And we firmly believe that food processing sector holds immense transformative potential in realizing this vision. By enabling value addition at the farm gate, fostering entrepreneurship in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, and reducing post-harvest losses, the sector plays a vital role in ensuring that dividends of the economic growth reaches the grassroots. In alignment with this vision, the industry, through the FICCI, in fact, through the Rural Prosperity Initiative, is actually engaged in adopting the horticulture clusters, promoting soil health, providing skill development, and building close partnerships with farming communities. With the support of advisory services, the deployment of agri-tech solutions, and targeted interventions to enhance the quality and productivity, these efforts are strengthening the foundation of more resilient and thriving rural economy.
Faces makes you very happy, and that's what is happening to me today, because I have been with the sector for more than 3 years now, if I include my tenure in the WDRA, which is very close to agriculture, and so I'm not really far away from the food processing sector in a way. And to see all familiar faces was a very happy moment for me. At the outset, I would like to thank FICCI for inviting me to deliver this keynote address. I think the food processing sector was developed as a very dear sector to me. I joined the ministry, and thereafter it really gradually grew on me, because I had not done agriculture and food processing before that. So it was a learning experience for me. In 35 years of career, I was more into industry, I was more on the finance side. So it was a great learning experience that I had with all of you. I mean, each one of you, I always say my office members and the team which interacts with me, each one is a guru. You give me some input in some form. Every interaction helps me learn. So that was a great learning experience for me. And interaction with FICCI, of course, has been at a very different level. We organized 2 major events in the ministry, and it was done with Elan by them both the times. So it was a great pleasure interacting with them. And I see that they continue the tradition of doing the FOODWORLD India. In fact, strangely, the name is so similar to the event that by mistake it could just slip out of my mouth. So I'm being very cautious to read it and spell it out as to what is the event today. So congratulations on organizing the 16th edition of FOODWORLD India 2025. And I see that the theme is also very interesting: spurring growth, driving innovation, and unlocking opportunities in the Indian food processing sector. As I said, the sector was a learning experience for me as well, along with the inputs that came from everyone. And I can say that PLI was a real eye-opener for me. We could see how the industry made the best use of the opportunity that the government policies offered at that point of time, and the growth figures that came gradually they kept flowing in, and the pleasure that the ministry had was immense, because we saw tremendous growth coming up from each one who participated in the scheme. So congratulations to everyone and anyone who was part of the PLI scheme and who has been part of the growth story of the food processing sector. But to say that the others who were not in the sector, I mean under the scheme, have not had the benefit is incorrect, because many ancillaries, many participants are there to partake of the benefits that a particular scheme will be offering to a large player. We also had a lot of MSMEs in the scheme, so the benefit flew to their side as well. We, as a sector, saw during that period not just the farmers' income going up, but employment numbers also picking up, which was very, very encouraging, and I think government found that the numbers were encouraging enough, and it really justified that the food processing sector was assisted through this scheme. The country, as my previous speaker has just said, Mr. Rao said that we have been producing a lot of food material, raw material as far as food sector is concerned. And we keep growing year on year. Kudos to our agriculture ministry, agriculture related, all departments who are functioning in this area, the state governments, for the large production that we have. But then we know when we have large production, we just can't eat all of it. Eating is part of that entire production. So then you have to handle the food. The commodity handling is something that WDRA does. And we are players in that area. We are new in that area, so to say, because 2017 onwards, we started in the sector in the present model that is being operational. And WDRA is basically a warehouse regulatory and development agency, authority is the right word actually. But we do some part of regulation, more of development. So we are more of a development agency rather than saying that we are a regulatory authority. Regulation, of course, is to benefit the purpose for which the warehouses are created. The food processing sector and the warehousing both are two very crucial players as far as the surplus food is concerned. Otherwise, we end up with lots of losses of food. The commodities that are grown in the country will end up getting lost in post-harvest stages. Post-consumption, a lot of it remains surplus. There is an efficient management of commodities that the warehousing process does. And we probably are contributing a bit in keeping the logistic costs lower. Today we are struggling with 14 to 18% logistic costs, and I'm told that the international standards are 8%. So the gap somewhere, including other sectors, probably warehousing also has a role to play, and we hope that very soon we will be contributing more than enough in helping sustain the quality of food as far as possible and making it available in off time. Agriculture gets affected strongly because it's a very cyclical business. You have the produce in a season when it is too much, and when you need it, it is not available or available from some imported sources. So warehouses come into the play there. We cover entire non-captive warehouses as far as the storage is concerned. And when I say non-captive, for example, a sugar mill has its own storage go down. That probably does not come under the warehousing systems as of now. But anyone and everyone who's storing in someone else's warehouse can, so to say, that we are in a non-captive setup. The warehouses used by government, warehouses used by the private sector, all categories are covered, and today we have over 1 lakh identified warehouses that we are aware of, and we are trying to bring in as many as possible in the fold of the WDRA. The Warehousing Development Regulatory Authority is not created only for the farmers. We do serve the farmers, and they are our primary targets. They are our primary customers, so to say. But the private sector, the state governments, the Government of India storage capacities that are created under the two major institutions of CWC and FCI are also part of this warehousing network. And this network is an important one because ultimately they are huge storage capacities that are created under them. We cover regular godowns, which are the warehouses, the plain ones, the environment controlled ones, the silos, the cold storages, all category. There is no distinction as to which kind will be covered by the WDRA. And every warehouse which has a possibility of storing commodities and has the possibility of creating liquidity out of it will benefit if they get associated with the Warehousing Development Regulatory Authority. The unique thing that this organization does is that it just does not ask you to store your produce inside a warehouse. We say, against those stored commodities, go ahead and take the e-negotiable warehousing receipts, which are issued by our 2 repositories, which are located in Mumbai, but of course they have their wings all over the country. Against those E&WRs, you can go for pledge finance to any bank and will be benefited from liquidity as a consequence of the stock that is lying in your warehouse or godown, which otherwise would have sat idle. But this potential is something that I think we all must look at the possibility of exploring. We at the moment cover 164 commodities, and we are working towards expanding this list. When I say commodities, if it is rice, we don't just cover prime basmati or something. We cover various categories of rice, various varieties of rice, and the warehouses are responsible for the assaying and quality maintenance of the produce that are stocked with them. And we do regular inspections. At the time of registration of the warehouses, we ensure the quality standards are met, and on a 6-monthly basis, we also take care that the stocks are available. So it's a kind of assurance that the system provides you when you're storing your commodities somewhere. And while that is happening, your E&WR will actually fetch you funding from the banks, which I think is a very fair arrangement in the system that prevails today. Liquidity is an issue. I'm sure everyone is going for the inventory to be kind of covered by any bank, but here your commodities are covered. We also cover a few non-agri products. We cover 9 metals at this point of time. Again, that list is under scrutiny for expansion, and we hope that we start covering the e-retailers warehouses as well in very short time, though this is not a policy call at this moment, so no quotes to be made here, but that's an intent that I am expressing here, so need not be given in the press release, please. The industry's interest is what we keep in mind here. In case the industry is interested, we can be sitting down together and working out a crisp policy that will help your commodities, your produce also to be served by WDRA's regimen. So I'm sure you should be considering this as on a very positive note, because this is a very, regulated kind of a system where chances of mishaps are much less. I don't say 0 mishaps, but chances are much less, because there is someone who's doing inspections, someone who's watching your stocks on a 6-monthly basis, and the bankers are of course there in the vicinity to take care. For the small investors, for the farmers, we cover them by the credit guarantee scheme. And for small investors, up to 2 crores, we give them the credit guarantee scheme, which again is an assurance for anyone who's operating at a small level. The big ones, of course, can take care of themselves, so the scheme does not cover them.